like kids, because adults don't really do this, hugging random strangers. Everybody here hugs each other. Just hugging all day long, just a bunch of hugs. We're about to go on a field trip to San Antonio, a bunch of us. You coming? Chaperones and everything. You know, when I first came to church, I thought that communion was snack time. I was like, oh, adults do this too. That's cool. They don't eat nearly as much. I'm way hungrier than this. And then I grew up and I realized that wasn't the case. But there's also the servant, right? We're talking about being a servant child. There's so much serving that goes on. You know, a lot of us maybe just show up and we just enjoy service, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. Earlier, 2 hours before you get here, we have the usher and we have the welcomers. We have people who do tabling. We have people who are taking care of your kids right now while you're here enjoying the service. Same thing with the count team. We're counting up our special contribution, which we just took. And not being able to be here with the rest of the body. We've had the sound crew, security. So many people serving all the time. We're just a bunch of kids. A bunch of servant children. And I hope that you feel welcome. I hope that you love it. We just had a throwback concert yesterday. But everybody was just laughing the whole time. Or Timmy was hilarious as an MC. Just having a whole lot of fun. We're just a fun group. Just a fun group that loves Jesus. We're just a bunch of kids trying to graduate together. We're all just trying to make it to the end. Now, I may not always feel that way. But what makes us children of the day, the reason we have shelter from the darkness, is because our Father is the one who created the light. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, and I would get scared, and I would think that the monsters were coming, I would run to my mom and dad's bed. Because I thought the monsters were under my bed. And so there's no activity under my bed. For some reason, monsters don't like parents' beds. I don't know what it is. It's crammed with a bunch of stuff. But here's the thing about going to my parents' bed. A lot of things didn't change. I was still scared of the dark. I still believed in monsters. The difference is I was with my Father. And being with my Father made all of the difference. It changed everything. Shel Silverstein, an American poet, says, listen to the monsters, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, and the won'ts. Listen to the never haves. Then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. Children long to believe in something greater than themselves. They long to believe in great things. It's part of why they believe in monsters. It's part of why they believe in El Cuco, which is what we call it in the Dominican Republic. But it's also why they believe that they can be Superman and they can be Batman. I remember as a kid, coming home, I was in the 5th grade, and I was in my room, and I don't know if you ever did this as a kid, sometimes I still do it now, I was playing like I had a sword in my hand. And my little brother walks in the room, and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like 3 years younger than me. So very impressionable. And I look at him and I say, I'm a Jedi. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I was fighting the dark side. He's like, there's nobody here. He's like, that's what you don't understand. They've gotten so much smarter. You can't see them. He's like, what are you fighting them with? My lifesaver. Lifesaver. I called it a lifesaver for a very long time. He was like, but I can't see it. He's like, I know, it's invisible. He's like, do you want to become a Jedi? I was like, yeah. I want to become a Jedi. And so I trained my little brother for about 3 months on how to be a Jedi. Children long to believe in something greater than themselves. But this is true of us. Even the whole swords you can't see and demons you can't see. 2 Corinthians 10 talks about how we have weapons that can demolish strongholds. And the weapons we fight with are not the weapons of this world. You and I are Jedis. Yeah. And we have lightsabers. Lightsabers we call the Bible. And our goal is to be lifesavers. Right? As we fight the dark side. There's something greater than ourselves that's going on today, or that went on today, and will continue to go on as people continue to give, and that special contribution. You know, in John chapter 6, we see the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. But what we know about this story, and you can look at this later on if you'd like, is that the disciples, what was their attitude? feeding the 5,000? We can't do that. I ain't got no money, we got no food. You know how much it's going to cost to do that? You know how far we are from town? Just excuses. You can see him here, whoever this one is. And I don't know which one it is, because it's not real. But we can't do that. We can't do that. And in this account, who steps up to the plate? A child. Most likely, people believe a servant child. Because why would a child have bread and fish? He was probably carrying it somewhere he was supposed to go. He was probably carrying it with his masters. What kind of boldness, if his was a servant child, to take the bread and fish that should be going to his master and giving it to Jesus? Now, what I wonder is, what was this child thinking? We don't know what he overheard. For all we know, maybe he thought they had it covered. Maybe he thought they were good. Oh, they're grown-ups. They've got a lot more money. They must have much more bread and fish. But I want to give my part. I want to help feed the group. It may not be as much, but I just want to help. And what he didn't know is that his little was everything. That his little came up so big. He saw that it was Jesus' heart to feed the 10,000, so he made it his. It's like 10,000 with wife and with women and children. He made it his ambition when he saw that it was Jesus' ambition. I want to thank you guys for how you've given. Thank you guys for the heart that you've had. For giving sacrificially, for understanding the cause, knowing that it's Jesus' heart, God's heart, to feed the masses here today spiritually, the masses all over our world. I'm so grateful. I know part of that, helps myself and John to be able to help here and to serve, and it's an honor for me to be here, and I know that it has to do with your sacrificial heart. So I'm just very grateful. Anne Frank said, it's one of the people that Adora quoted, Anne Frank said, "No one has ever become poor by giving. But many have become rich in the things that matter by giving." No one has become poor by giving, but I think a lot of people have become rich. Many believe that this boy who gave the bread and the fish was John Mark, who later on goes on to become a missionary. I don't think that can be proven necessarily. That's what a lot of people believe. That's a lot of what history says. Now, if that's the case, let's just assume that that's true. This is where he started. He started just giving a little bit of what he had. He started just in believing in something bigger than himself. What's the thing in your life that seems too big to do right now? Too hard to change, too scary to try again. We, like the disciples in John 6, can come up with a lot of good reasons for why not to do something that we know is right. Something God is putting in our hearts. There are countless of reasons that Satan can put in our minds for why we shouldn't start studying the Bible, why we shouldn't get open and confess, why we shouldn't share our faith at work, why we shouldn't ask for help and guidance from the people in fellowship, why we shouldn't come back to God, why we should just be visitors. But the most childish thing we can do is treat our Father in heaven the way we know we don't want to be treated by our earthly children. Not listening when He calls. Not changing. Not growing. Kids, one of the things Adora, the 12-year-old girl who astounded all of us, said was kids are not hampered when thinking about reasons for why not to do things. And we're going to talk about why I think, one of the reasons I think that is. In Matthew 18, Jesus said, change and become. What is it that you need to change and become? What stuff needs to change in your life, and what is it that you can become? And do you believe that you can do it? Maybe you're realizing for the first time, whatever's on your heart right now, whatever that is, that prick you feel that you know, oh, yeah, that's that one thing. Maybe you're realizing it for the first time, or maybe you're being reminded of a change that needs to happen, of a leap of faith that needs to be taken, of a level of commitment that needs to be cemented. Either way, at some point, when the excuses come, you have to ask yourself, why? Why shoot for the impossible? Why go out of my comfort zone? Because God went out of His for you and for me. We're going to close here. Who here has seen Finding Nemo? Yes. I love Finding Nemo. I try to watch it often because it keeps my heart soft. Even though I don't really like the way it starts. I think it's way too gruesome of a start, but it keeps my heart soft. We know about Nemo getting caught in, he's in the fish tank, right? And what happens the first time he tries to get out? He fails, right? Now, he's right for the task, right? He's the perfect size. His little fin that we thought was a problem actually is fantastic. He's the perfect person to do the impossible, but he fails the first time around. What happens the second time he tries? Anyone know? The second time, you know what happens? He succeeds. Let's look at why. Let's see what changed.
Nemo, where's Nemo? Let me speak with him. What? Your dad's been finding the entire ocean looking for you.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's travelled hundreds of miles. He's been battling sharks and jellyfish, all sorts of...
I can't be here.
You sure? What was his name? Some sort of sportfish or something. Tuna? The trap?
Marlin?
That's it. Marlin. The little clownfish from the reef.
It's my dad! Talk about a shark!
I know you took on 3.
3
sharks?
It's going to be 4,800 teeth.
You see, your dad followed the boat to
Really?
He's swimming, he's giving all this stuff through gigantic sharks. Capturing them. It wasn't up. When the giant started to bring them to chase around the waves, huge thing. Time to speak.
Where's Nemo? He's doing the impossible. Because his father did the impossible for him. You and I are perfect for whatever challenges we put before us. We have all the tools that we need. The challenge isn't going to change. But what we need to realize is that God has gone above and beyond for us to be the children that can call ourselves His. For us to be children of the day. I believe the main reason children are less hampered, the reason they believe they can do anything is because they believe their Father can do anything and has done everything for them. Where will you be a week from today, a month, or a year? Because this isn't the end of the story, right? Like, it's not like he goes out, he goes with his dad, and lives happily ever after. A lot happens in the meantime, right? He has to save the day. But it starts here. And who you will become starts here today. Let us mold our attitudes and minds to that of a child, admitting in humility that most of the time we don't know what we're doing. Choosing to forgive and forget quickly, let us hold nothing against each other or our loving Father. Rather than ask who is the greatest, let us be children of the light, who live for He who is greater. Let's stop being childish. Let's start being childlike. Happy Children's Day.